Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Hunt, Lift, Eat podcast. I'm your host here with my handsome as ever co-host, recently discovered talent, Luke Cox. What's up, dude?
What's up, man? Glad to be here. I kind of like this with you in the host seat. It's a lot easier for me. I dig this. You found out about 5 minutes before this started, but you're now the host. I'm the guest.
Too easy. You don't look like you're in your mansion currently.
I'm not. Shout out to old Charlie Card here. It's been rainy all day, and so Elon was letting me down with my Starlink and my camper. It was real shoddy. So I was like, "Hey, man, can I come record a podcast at your house?" And he was like, "Come on." He just set up a fucking command station. He's got a desk and monitors everywhere. It's badass. This might be my new workstation.
Hell yeah, man. Well, happy to be hosting with our first guest with me running host. This is an easy one. We got old Sam Seeton, founder and CEO of Infinite Outdoors, back on the podcast. What's going on, man?
What's up? Thanks for having me back on. Glad to be here.
Yeah, dude, you're becoming a real series regular,
right? I'm all right with that. Guess it means I haven't pissed you guys off yet.
Keep putting on some properties like that antelope hunt, man. You're definitely not pissing us off. We gotta make sure we're endearing to you at this point.
I'm glad that hunt turned out so well for you guys.
Yeah, you and
always like I remember talking with the guys. I'm like, I haven't heard from anybody in like it's opening morning. How have I not got like a picture, a text? Like what's going on? Did everything leave, or these guys not know what the heck they're doing? And then they started flowing in rapidly.
Too busy shooting them, man. We had to play catch up at lunch with you.
Yeah.
Well, that was about an hour in. Carter started panicking because we didn't have anything on the ground yet.
I did panic. Yeah. We had so many new guys out there for the first time. I was like, oh my God, they're not going to kill anything. We need to put something on the ground.
Little did you know, Perry shot one within the first 10 minutes.
Yeah. Well, I knew somebody shot. I didn't know he killed anything.
Dropped it. It's badass. We don't need to rehash all that, but yeah, it was an awesome experience, awesome hunt. Definitely love the app, and it was cool to. Obviously, we've been talking about it and getting to actually utilize it firsthand. Go to a property and experience it. It's a huge just need in the marketplace because it's so hard if you're coming from out of state to. Even if you're willing to pay a trespass fee, how do you get a hold of a rancher? How do you find a rancher that's willing to accept the trespass fee? So having that bridge there through Infinite's perfect, and it definitely was much appreciated from our end.
Yeah, I'm glad it all worked out. I guess obviously the hunt was very successful, but how'd the app and the technology, like how'd that work for you guys?
Well, dude, before even the app, I owe Michael and Alec Christmas presents too. They were phenomenal. I was bugging them like crazy, weekly, texting them on my way to work in the morning. And I kept forgetting y'all are 2 hours behind. So they're getting texts at like 3 a.m. And I'm just so excited. Hey, can we talk today, man? I just want to talk through some of these access points on the property. Because that was really important to us, right? We want to be good stewards of, for the opportunity that was given to us through y'all. And we don't want to put you in a bad spot, right? Because like Luke said, like, say you do find a rancher, but like, I could see where a landowner could be apprehensive letting, some yahoos from around the country come hunt on their property. And all of us have hunted people's permissions before. And part of that is picking up trash and making sure you close all the gates. And Luke and I have worked cattle fortunately before this, so we know that's paramount, especially on a working ranch like that. And yeah, man, I bothered the heck out of Alec and Michael about it, man. I was like, hey, where can we access? I just want to make sure we got all our I's dotted and our T's crossed. And the app was fantastic. You guys lay out everything, all expectations very clearly, which I appreciated. Not too wordy, but very clear and concise.
Yeah,
that was really helpful.
Glad to hear it, and that's those guys' job. If anything, you probably should have woken them up even earlier. Get them ready for that waterfowl season when they got to take calls at 2 a.m.
make them earn it.
That's right.
Yeah, it was great, man. Yeah, really great.
One of you guys' pictures had a horse in the background. What was that about? Was that one of the ranch horses?
That was the first one, and yeah, we were driving in, and we were in like the center of the operation on like the main kind of road that runs through, and there's a oil well right beside us. They've got their chutes and everything for the cattle side, and in the horse pasture, we're looking, and like Perry and I are looking over to our right because that's where Cole and Roger had seen a herd, and so we're trying to find that herd, and then we like looking right in front of us through the windshield, and there was a good buck and two does, and it was in the horse enclosure. And the horses were far to the left, so there was no risk of hitting one of them. But once we shot the goat, and he dropped, we went in there, and those horses got real curious real fast, and they were I think they've been pretty neglected, so they came up and were nuzzling us and wanting some attention, and they started we were dragging them out. They were getting a little rambunctious, and one of them started crow hopping and bucking everywhere, like playing. And I was like, no. So I was like, Perry, let's set this down and let this guy calm down a little bit, because I've grown up around horses, and when they get to moving, it doesn't matter if they're playing or not. It's a 1,500-pound critter that, yeah. So, but it was pretty funny. So Perry's there, and we couldn't get him out of the pictures, and I was like, fuck it, it's just part of the experience. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. That's awesome to add it to it. I remember when we saw that one of our employees, she asked, she's like, "Do they bring in pack horses?" I'm like, "They better not have brought in pack horses. That kind of defeats the lift part of hunt, lift, eat if you can't even carry out an antelope." But
for that trip,
it was about a
nearest road
50-meter drag back to the truck, so that one wasn't very bad at all.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man, phenomenal experience. We're excited too. I was already snooping around. I think I texted you when I got back. I was already snooping around for deer properties on Infinite. So maybe you and I can talk in January and start game planning a little bit.
Oh yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah, man, phenomenal experience. Thrilled about it, and happy to share that with people for sure.
Yeah, and I'm glad you guys got that experience, and thanks for utilizing our app and supporting the local Wyoming rancher economy. I know they appreciate it as well. You guys
and you've had your fair share of hunting, but how's it been balancing? Like, how has Infinite been doing this season? Y'all have good bookings?
Yeah, no, it's been fantastic. I think we shoot probably 80 or 90% of our properties for this hunting season already hit their management quota. So our biologist won't let anything else on there, so they're pretty much booked solid. And I don't want to jinx it because there's still some deer seasons and stuff going on, but overall, which for a platform our size is crazy, but we're at like a 90-95% success rate on DIY hunts, which for Western big game is kind of absurd. Like I don't want people to think that's the norm every year, but when you go from like a 10% elk harvest average to opening day of elk season, there's 2 350 plus bull shot in like opening morning on Infinite properties, and everyone else is pretty much anybody that actually hunts the whole time. You always have those few guys that truly don't get it. They go out one day like, I didn't see anything, and they just left. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? But everybody else is really having great success. So it's been a great year so far for our landowners and for Infinite as a whole.
That's awesome. And I didn't realize y'all have a strong waterfowl presence out there. You have a lot of geese and duck properties through Infinite, and we saw ducks in droves, man.
Oh yeah. That's actually at least in Wyoming and Colorado, that's probably our most used and most known segment is that it's waterfowl. Especially in Front Range of Colorado. I know we already probably have 600 or 700 bookings already on the books for waterfowl season, and goose just opened today in Colorado. So it's definitely another one that's in high demand, and another market that's hard for people since like you guys know, when you have jobs and stuff, a lot of times those yearly waterfowl leases don't make sense, because to get your money's worth you have to hunt during the weekday and be doing a whole bunch of spend a ton of time out there. And if you have a family that you care about or a job, you have some weekends you got to pick from. And I think that's why it's really caught on so much from the waterfowl front.
Yeah, across the board, like that was something we talked about. And the busier that I get, the irony of getting, starting a company in the hunting space is you actually get to hunt less. That's what I've learned. I don't know if you had a similar experience, but you just start, it starts to consume everything. And I don't have the ability to go out and hunt for, the duration of archery elk season, or be able to hunt for a 10-day, 20 days of continuous hunting. And sometimes, especially on public, like that's what you, if you're willing to commit to it, that's what you have to do to have that really high level of success. And being able to, you're basically, from the way I look at it, that trespass fee, when it goes back into an industry that I wholeheartedly support, to guys that can utilize it. And then two, it really is just kind of buying some time back. I'm paying to not have to deal with other hunters. After my we were hunting, Perry and I were hunting muzzleloader season for antelope in Colorado, and just every single stalk we were on got busted by another hunter. It was getting comical at a certain point. These guys just don't know what they're doing. They can get the tags because they're available. And so they go out and they buy a muzzleloader, and they're just walking through, like we're on a stalk, we have one bedded, and they just walk right through the middle of it. That happened more times than I can count. And I was like, man, I'd pay any amount of money to not have any of these guys on this property right now. So I think it's definitely worthwhile, especially, the busier you are and the less time you have to hunt. You're just increasing your odds and your chances, and you're limiting the variables and the factors of the other people, which I think is definitely worthwhile in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, on that same point, I always, whenever people are pushed back, like, oh, why would you pay for that access? Like, other than the obvious reasons, the not having to deal with all the seed warrants and all that stuff, but your time is worth something too. So, like, if you guys can go through 6 people and all tag out on one day and just know you're set for that 5-day period, that's huge. Versus if you had to take off 10 days of work and do all of that, that has a tangible cost as well. It's just a loss and opportunity cost, and a lot of times that's far greater. So you have to account your own time too, and that's why, like you said, I don't get to hunt nearly as much as I used to, being in this industry and working so much. So have to capitalize on it, and my time's worth something too. If I'm going to be gone for a week, I'm like, oh shoot, that's thousands and thousands worth of dollars that myself and our company lost. So it's a lot easier to justify paying a few bucks and supporting a rancher and keeping them from having to subdivide their ranch to make ends meet.
Yeah, I think Perry had the line of the trip. After his first day, he just said, hunting public's cool, but God, I love hunting private. He probably said it 50 times, man.
Yeah, so much less BS. I got a unfortunate reminder of how brutal that is, because as you guys know, we talked about last year with some of the winter kill in Wyoming, especially western Wyoming. It really drew a lot of people from those tags that got cut up to, like the north of Casper area and areas like that, where like we're at a deer tag this year, and I just went to a public spot and I packed back in like 3 miles and then hunted from there. And opening day, like in previous years, never even saw anybody, but saw over 30 people that were at least 3 miles deep or further, and they're like over every ridge. I'm like, this is so stupid. Like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing out here, just wasting time getting a shooting match and track meet with a bunch of random people, and I'm trying to enjoy some much needed time off and solitude. But it is what it is. There's still beauty in that. Still got one, and felt good because I felt like I won a competition, but it wasn't not the same as like hanging out nice and quiet with my buddies and enjoying my time.
Yeah, public land has just gotten so in vogue, and don't get me wrong, I love the fact that we have it and we have the access, but it's become like, and you see it, I don't know, you're on those same groups. It's like somebody kills one, and God forbid they shot it on private. Folks are like, giving them shit. I mean, even Roger dropped something about and gave Infinite a shout out on the Wyoming page. The guy was like, that's hardly DIY. And I'm like, I mean, just because it was private access doesn't mean we didn't do it ourselves. It wasn't guided, These guys just
Right.
want to, there's always something, And so I think that people feel this pressure that they have to hunt on public. They have to hunt this certain kind of way. To me, it's like everybody needs to just choose what their individual hunt is. And personally, I like to put shit on the ground. So I'll use a bow, but I'll also use a rifle because, it's like a lot of things can go wrong. And the more barriers that you lower, and then the more variables you remove, because you can only control so much anyways, I think you're just improving your chances and your odds, which is never a bad thing, especially if you don't have a significant amount of time where you're not that experienced. If you can drop, if you're not dealing with other pressure, if you're not dealing with animals that are so on edge that the second they even sense something, they're going to bolt. Like that was a big thing that we noticed was, those, like the one that Perry shot right there in the middle of the operation. If that had been any time I've ever hunted antelope, the second the truck stopped, those goats would have been gone because we were 400 meters from them when I stopped the truck.
Yeah,
And I was like, yeah. And then like we stopped and they didn't even look up from, like they looked at us and then went back down to grazing. And Perry and I were like, why are they not moving? And then I was like, dude, this is right. Like, there's probably 100 trucks a day that stop in this exact same spot. And so then we were able to like stalk up and get another 100 meters up. And he, we were just telling the story. I actually forgot my tinnitus has been acting up a lot because I shot a lot when I was mule deer hunting. Long story. I don't want to get into it, but I had to run back to the truck to get my ear pro. And so I'm like, hold on. He's like, what are you talking about? I was like, no, I need my ears. So I ran back to get my ears, then ran back and got on the glass. He was just laughing. Like in no other world would we have been able to have that much time to be able to like unfuck ourselves and then get squared away and get him set up for a 300-yard shot. Like it's hunting a completely different animal, which, it's cool.
Yeah.
It was a nice change from the pace we've been on hunting, high pressured muzzle loaders, open sight muzzle loaders in Colorado.
And it's no guarantee, right? Like just because you have access to private doesn't mean the animals aren't tied up and left there. It's not a guarantee. It's not always a slam dunk as we're kind of pitching it here. You still have to find them and you still have to plan your stalks. And we had to work around boundaries and other properties and, little puzzle pieces where it was the neighbor's property and things like that. You still have to be cognizant of all those things. So there's still, I don't want anybody to get the wrong impression, right? You can't make them be there, but for us, boy, were they there. So
this analogy in the past too, but it's privates. It's going to be better. We manage it to be better, do everything in our power. But like that elk example, even if the national average is like a 10% success rate, even if it's 5 times as good, there still is a 50-50 chance you're not going home with something. So it's still hunting.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And there was a lot of opportunity, but we still had a lot of blown stalks. We still had a lot of blown opportunities. Some mistakes were made. Roger Cole, but no, it was good. Cole's producing right now and he's not chatting, but he can hear everything I'm saying. His face is priceless.
It says it all.
But it was awesome. But dude, let's hear about something. You've had some fucking hunts here recently. That moose. Let's get that full rundown.
Yeah, we knew you had that pretty cool tag in your pocket, man. That seemed to work out okay.
Yeah, that worked out all right for me. That was crazy hunt. Because I think like we discussed, like I had 2 different camps that I set up. They were way the hell back in there. Because that's all backcountry, public land, and once in a lifetime tag with moose. So my general instinct is to just make myself suffer a ton and just make things way harder than it needs to be. My team always gives me a lot of shit for that, just because everything I immediately am like, how hard can we make this? But we had 2 camps. The first camp was it was like a 4-mile ATV ride to the edge of wilderness, and then had a base camp that was another 2 miles that I packed a wall tendon on my back, and then had another spike camp like another 6 or 8 miles back from that. It was wild. So we started out way the hell back there. We're getting on moose, kept blowing stocks. Cause I got, honestly, I was a little complacent because I was used to seeing like anybody that lives out west or, gone to like a national park or something. They've probably seen your classic dumb moose, your Yellowstone moose that's standing right next to the road. And you're like, that animal's never seen pressure. They're going to be nice and dumb. Not the case once you get back deep because they don't see people and they turn back into a wild animal. So I admittedly blew a bunch of stocks. I kept getting in, and that early season, because I was archery, started in September. They hang out at timberline. So you'd think just conceptually it'd be the easiest thing ever. Like, you got this big dumb animal that's not afraid of anything. They're out in the open. But found out the hard way, there's a reason they were up at timberline and in these open spots, because we always kind of had a southwest wind that would come over this pass. But in the mornings, if you hunt mountainous areas, you know about all the different thermals, and the thermals, like 9 o'clock or so, 8:30, they switch and they start coming uphill. So they stood exactly where the uphill thermals met the prevailing winds, so that the winds just swirl in circles. So it's impossible to get within like 100 yards of these things without wind blowing right in their face. And the other thing that I now know is when they spook, they don't just run off. These moose, they run to where you can't see them, and then they bed down like a pheasant would, and they just hide in the willows. So they just disappear in the open sight. But you're not going to go. I wasn't going to go like trying to jump shoot some 1,500-pound aggressive animal with a bow. Like, that seemed like a good way to die. And they just disappear. So you could like find them the next day and the next evening, and I just kept blowing stock after stock. So was pretty discouraged. Ran out of food. Spent the first, because I hiked in. I was there a couple days early trying to spot some of these good bulls that we'd seen and found them, and then ran out of food and had to pack back down to our lower camp. And at that time, I was on the second day of the hunt by that point. So 2 days, like scouting out back, trying to spot them. And then the first day and that morning, and had one of my old buddies from football in college. He drove all the way up from Colorado and met me, and hiked in on his own, didn't have an ATV or anything, hiked all the way up to base camp and met me there. And we were just kind of glassing that low country, not seeing anything up high. We're just about to turn back in when we spotted something way, way down low in another valley, like 1,000+ feet below us. And that was the massive one that I ultimately ended up getting. But even I blew 4 stocks on it, went all the way down. If I'm talking too long, just tell me to shut up.
No, this is good. I have zero experience with moose, so taking
we
notes
may
on the
never
off
hunt
chance.
moose ever, so we want to hear all of it.
Yeah,
Definitely want Wyoming.
Yeah. No, so it was so when I saw it, and we just tear off straight down. Because the thing you're looking for with moose, like from a trophy perspective, is you want a brow tine to be split. That's kind of the sign of its maturity, and that's also from like Boone and Crockett or Pope and Young measurements. You measure from the lowest point in those splits. So if you don't get that, you lose like 20 inches off the thing. Again, normally I don't care, but it's a once in a lifetime tag, and I had 2 months to hunt in Wyoming, so I was like, I'm not just going to shoot a dinker. Let's see what happens. So saw that it had the split brows. It wasn't one that had glassed up on any of my scouting times. It was clearly bigger than anything. So we just sprint straight down there, get all the way down to this open meadow. He's still right where we thought he was, but he's out in this open willow meadow along this creek feeding. So I just there's one tree out there, put that in between us, sneak up, get within probably 80 yards. Like, I'd taken off my shoes at this point and everything, but needed to close a little more. And actually waded across the river that's there. Got to the other side, was at 45 yards. I was just about to pull back and take a shot, and like the wind was still good. I don't think I made any noises at all, and he just got some sixth sense and kind of looks around and walks off a couple 100 yards and beds down in the trees, like where I can still see him. I'm like, you son of a bitch! Like, what the hell just happened? So I'm just out there with my pants off, just laying down flat in these willows. I'm like this is like, how in the hell did that happen? So there's no way I can really sneak back, except for that river. So I like crawl back another dozen yards or whatever, and dropped into that creek. And I mean, it's super cold. We're still at 9,000 feet, and I wade through the river because that's the only low point, downstream for probably a solid half mile to where the trees connect. And then I pop back up, and there's still like a little one where you can see me. So I'm army crawling through just this bog and swamp, get up on the other side, sneak all the way around the trees again. soaking wet, no shoes on this entire time. Get back within probably 50 yards. Like, I know right where he's at. And again, I'm positive I'm just being totally silent. Didn't, wasn't making any steps. And I step on like the smallest little stick, like literally nothing. And he gets up, doesn't ever even look at me, and runs over to the other side. The window's still good, and runs to the other side where I originally came from and was feeding. So at this point, I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. Like, I was set up perfectly 2 times in range. This thing just left. It was not noticeably spooked either time. And now he's feeding right back to where my buddies were that came and were hunting with me. And he's like 100 yards from them by this point. So I run around again, all the way back to where I came from, cross that creek, get back in the other wheels, loop around.
Still no shoes?
Still no shoes. And all the way around to the other tree line. And by this point, there was another cow that came out kind of in between where we were at. So he was heading towards this cow. So you have a cow, you have the bull, and then my buddies are right in between, and they're like heading towards each other. It's like, shit, like they're going to bust on these guys any second now. Like, it's ridiculous. If I would just sat there, it would have been fine. But snuck all the way around, creeped in. He was distracted by that other cow, got into, so I was able to get into 40 yards where I wasn't paying attention. Finally got in, was able to draw, get a 45-yard quartering away shot. Got a really solid shot, was able to do a little moose grunt, stopped again at 60, got another arrow in him, and he went down within 40 yards after that. And,
come on.
Got it done. I was like, never blowing that many stalks on a single moose or on any hunt, really. And all finally came together, and it was a stud moose. I think unofficially 6th biggest velvet Shiras moose, or however the hell you pronounce that type of moose, ever shot with a bow. So pretty lucky on that one.
That is freaking awesome. That is so awesome.
Yeah, very long-winded answer, but it was exciting. We were able to film the whole thing too, which is pretty cool. So we actually have a YouTube video out on it. It was a fun hunt.
That's really badass. Have you thought about trying to go to Alaska or Canada and hunt them again up there? Or you think you're done with moose now that it's pretty awesome to tag out in your home state. So
yeah, no, now I feel like I need to go to Alaska and Canada at some point, just because there's that moose slam where you can shoot Alaskan, Yukon, and Shiras moose. So I'm like, I got the hard one, so now I kind of feel like I have to. So I've actually been. It's actually just messaging Casey with Hush yesterday, because he shot a really big moose with his bow too, and kind of has the bug. So I was like, I'm trying to plan a trip where I'll fly up our bush plane maybe next year and try to get that one off the bucket list. But I actually did it once in Alaska and was unsuccessful. I did do a DIY in Alaska for 12 days. Came up empty-handed already.
What's the difference size-wise between like a moose like that and a elk, like a good size bull?
It's they're bigger, but elk are, a big bull is still shockingly big. Like it's probably 300 pounds bigger, that big bull is, than like a really big elk. But then an Alaska moose is way bigger than both, because an Alaskan moose is like a full 1,000 pounds bigger than the moose.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they're like that. That's why when I did that DIY like float trip trying to get a moose in Alaska in the past, I didn't get one because they have, if you're non-resident, you have to have at least a 50-inch minimum spread to even be able to shoot them. Now my moose, they just said that was, record books, top 6 biggest velvet archery moose ever shot. It wouldn't have even been legal because it was like 49 inches wide. So you couldn't even legally have shot that in Alaska, to give you an idea of how much bigger those ones are.
That's insane.
Yeah. Yeah, it's absurd.
It's a lot of pressure too. It's not like given time to take out the tape on 50 inches, man. When you 49 or 50 inches or whatever, that's
right.
That's close.
That's why I never shot any, because there's a few that are probably on the edge, but they tell you to measure their eyes, because that's supposed to be 10 inches from eye to eye, and then you, like in your scope, and then you add like another 2 on either side to see if it's in there. And I was like, in theory that works, but not when they're walking through a marsh and their head's down, or they're jogging, or they come out of the trees when you're calling for 3 seconds. And yeah, it was a challenge. It was a fun hunt from the float and the adventure side of things, but I don't know that I like highly recommend the Alaska side of things. It's way more fun hunt than 48.
Yeah, I think we're like having a guide that actually knows, and he can be like, "Hey, buddy, is that 50?" And he's like, "No." I'm like, okay, good. Like,
Right.
because I would have thought that was 50. Like, having somebody who actually knows what they're looking at. Same with like even some of the bighorn stuff. It's just, you're just. I feel like you've got massive pucker factor until you get up on it. I don't know. I know Carter's had it, and Cole definitely too, but you get some of that ground shrinkage. You know, you shoot a deer and you think it's a certain size, and you walk up and you're like, "Oh shit, I thought that was bigger."
Oh yeah, it happens all the time.
Hate to do that with a bighorn or a fucking moose. The stakes are a little higher.
Right? Yeah, losing your license is a little more than your pride. But.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah, and I'm already probably a bad misjudge of that. I look at him I'm like, oh yeah, that's a stud. But like, I don't know. Been lying to my wife for too long, I guess. But
Yeah, same.
What are you doing with it? Getting it shoulder mounted?
Yeah, getting it shoulder mounted. I'm debating if I'm going to do a wall mount or a pedestal mount, because honestly, it's such a big animal that a wall mount right now would just look silly, because it would almost be touching the ground. So, because I don't have a big enough house, and it's probably So I'm thinking about maybe a pedestal mount to put it in a corner and let it have that corner.
You have to buy a new house just for the mount.
Yeah, a little cheaper ceilings. To do the pedestal than buying a house. Yeah. Yeah, tried selling the wife on that one, and she also was not. She didn't think that was very funny either.
Tell her you got to build a big vaulted pole barn shop to have all the taxidermy in.
Exactly. She's like, or we could just get less taxidermy. I was like, not an option.
Yeah, that's funny.
What did you guys do with all your antelope? You guys shoulder mount any of them, or doing Euros, or what's your plan?
Bobby shoulder mounted his, but mostly because he had to, because he shot it in the head. So the Euro mount was not, when we started boiling it, it fell apart. Yeah, but the rest of us just did Euros. We one of our guys is in Cheyenne, so on the way down we stopped at his place and boiled all the skulls and cleaned them up, and then I took them back to my place in Colorado once we got all the brain matter and everything off. Then I bleached them, and still need to touch them all up, but I've got them all right now, and my wife has them now. I'm down in Louisiana, but we're all meeting up at my farm back in Virginia for a rendezvous in the winter, so I'm going to bring them all out and divvy them back up. If you drive them across, it's a little easier than flying them.
Right. So looks like a couple of those were like some real stud goats. Did you score any of them?
I need to score mine. I haven't.
You should score yours.
Yeah, mine was that tall one where the hooks were almost touching.
Yeah.
And there was some good, I mean, we had a good variety there. I think the next might have been Cole's. He had really good hooks and good mass. It was short. Carter's was not. Carter's was he was tender. He's going to eat good.
Somebody has to be the smallest. I might grab somebody else's skull when they come back to Virginia. Oh, my bad. Sorry.
That was mine.
No, but it was still good. I mean, you can't complain over 6 goats on the ground. I mean, that was awesome. I was actually like, we finished, and I was like, shit. Like, I want to still hunt. Like, I only got to hunt for a day. You know, like,
yeah.
But
yeah, probably after that first day, you're like, yeah, I probably should have trophy hunted for at least another 24 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's what it was. It was kind of funny because Perry and I were hunting together because we've been hunting now. It kind of worked out perfectly because Perry was like first legal, like decent, representation is what I'm shooting. I was like, we've got time. I want to be a little selective. Like, we paid for private access, and so I passed on a couple. But then, Perry was like, I'm ready to hit the easy button after, because we walked a lot over the past couple of years in that same unit trying to get one with a muzzleloader, like just miles. And so he was like, I'm good to just hit the easy button. So that's what we did for his. And mine was about a mile from the truck that we went after and got him. long stalk, had to like actually put in a lot of work to get him, but it worked out well. And he was like the perfect, I was like, hell yeah, that's like the perfect one, exactly what I was looking for. So it lined up well for everybody.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And
I
somehow
don't you,
Bobby's,
you burned the most points, right? Helping everybody else draw.
I think Carter burnt the most points, and then he shot one on public. But I burned 4. You burned 5, right, Carter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys kind of pulled the team, right? Or you
Yeah.
guys
Oh, yeah.
2.
Yeah. Roger showed up with 0, and then that trend continued for the rest of the hunt. But no, it was awesome. It was cool to like take some of the, because like what ended up happening was I wasn't there, but Carter taught Bobby some tactics, and then Bobby actually used those. He went out by himself, killed his, and then came back the next day, grabbed Roger, and then was able to get Roger on one with what he learned from Carter. So it was just kind of a cool, getting those guys introduced to hunting out west. It was all their first Western hunts, and it was a great way to kind of get them into it. I think they're both jonesing to come back already.
Yeah, that's awesome.
How'd your elk hunt end up?
Still in progress. So I got my deer and antelope already, but my elk. So actually I have 2. Of one. I guess we've had a couple. Adam Weatherby owns Weatherby rifles and stuff. He booked a hunt on one of our Colorado properties, and I just went along with him. We got him a 350-inch bull, biggest bull of his life, opening morning.
Opening morning,
yeah, it was pretty. That one worked out pretty well. He was giving me shit too, because I'm like, yeah, that's a bigger one than I've ever shot, and because I usually archery hunt every year. He's like, yeah, that's what you get for shooting those stupid bows. Touche.
fair enough.
But so that was an awesome elk hunt. But I've been out a couple different times in Wyoming, because the tag I drew this year, I didn't draw my actual unit I wanted to get. I drew a second choice, but I based my second choice off of one that is really good if you can fly in to access it, because we have the company Super Cup, but we had a windstorm that blew in the hangar door of my airplane and destroyed it partially. So
my God.
So now my only spot I have, I'm just hiking way the hell back in there, and I was actually just in there this last weekend. It was a high of 18 degrees. It was like negative overnight. It was terrible. I was just by myself. I was like 8 miles back, and I could see elk another 2.5 miles, but I had to walk around this BLM section to get around this private, which would have been like another 6 miles, and I'm by myself. So I'm like, there's not a chance in hell that I'm making that work. So I just sat there shivering for 3 days, hoping that they'd make their way over to me, and they didn't. So that season at least goes till the end of November. So I have that, and then I have another Colorado elk hunt that I'll leave for next weekend, and that's a private land one on a prospective infinite outdoors property. I'm just paying him to try it out first, and then if it's good, we'll try to bring it onto the platform. At least that's how I justify it to the IRS. But
Work trip.
Yeah,
Definitely.
How
a
was
work
it?
trip.
Yeah.
How was it hunting with Adam? What's he like?
Adam's great. Yeah, he's that was the first time I've been able to hunt with him. I've hunted with Luke before, who's like their VP of sales and marketing, kind of like the number 2 who's not a Weatherby person, and that's like who we've hunted with the Hush guys and stuff when they've booked infinite hunts. But no, with Adam it was, yeah, he's a cool guy, real down to earth, just good person, but still fun. He's religious like I am, but you can still joke. You don't have to totally change who you are. You can still be yourself. But no, he's really, good dude. It's a lot of fun to hunt with him, and he's like me. He likes to get after it. Like it's not just for a show. It's not like, where are they at? Let's do this. He's like, how hard can we make, like, the same sort of crap I like to do? Like it's like, we're testing out a new gun. It's called the High Country. Let's get into the High Country. Let's get the hell way back out there. He's like, I know we could shoot one on this ranch we just booked, but it's a unit-wide landowner battery came with. Like, let's make this hard. I'm like, speaking my language. Let's get ready to suffer.
Hell yeah.
But no, so it was great. It's cool, dude. He flew his plane in. He's got a jet prop plane that he pilots himself. So he flew into the airport and I picked him up there and had to cut the rack in half to fit it back in the plane because it was so big. Couldn't get to work. So it was a fun experience.
We
That's
need
a cool
plane,
test.
Carter. That's what I've learned from this podcast.
Cole,
Yeah,
you have the credit card numbers, right? Why don't you go ahead and just buy one while we're doing this?
That credit card doesn't work anymore. It got shut off. Apparently, those Amex Platinums do have a limit. I found it.
We did it.
when you're trying to put planes on them.
Yeah. And all of our shows next year. Good Lord. I screwed the pooch on that one. I didn't realize that every single expo we're going to next year all was coming due the exact same time as all of our fall merchandise. I was sitting there looking at it and I was like, these numbers, they don't add up.
Yeah. They don't time those well, do they? They're always like, yeah, we want your money by, I know a lot of them were end of October. And it's like,
September, October. Yeah. Most of the big ones. I mean, some of the smaller ones, it's irrelevant, but like we're going to be at ATA and SHOT Show and some of these bigger ones. And I was like, fuck. And some of these, I mean, we have like a 20 by 20 booth. So some of these are pricey. So we'll see. We'll see how it all ends up, but hopefully we'll make some money off them. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. We'll be at SHOT too. I'll have to
hell yeah
connect.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
You guys going to Western Hunt Fest or not?
We didn't get in. We got waitlisted and tried to get in there last year. They told us to just put in. We applied like 3 different times. So if you know anybody, let me know.
We are national partners with Mule Deer Foundation, who puts the whole thing on.
Well, you know, if you can put in a good word for us, I'll take a day. I'll go to the damn closet right now, hide out in the janitor's closet because we couldn't do anything to get in. So, I mean, that one's so big at this point. I was there last year with Garrett. And we were just walking around. And I was like, holy cow, this is the biggest one I've seen. I've never been to SHOT before. I know it's huge, but yeah, I was like, God bless.
Yeah, they're both next level because we went to both last year and it totally ruins every single show. Like after that, we're not even going to go to the like Denver International Sportsman's Expo anymore because it just kind of we're just like can't justify that. Like those are so sick. Let's try it.
Have you the Mile High game and fish or the Hunt and Fish Expo? Have you seen that one?
Yeah, we're going to it.
Hell yeah, we'll be there too. Yeah, I was stoked. So Phil and I actually met Phil at the ISC Denver. That was our first show that we ever did last year. We did all right. Like we did better than I was expecting. And for as dead of a show it was, but Phil like walked up and he was like, this sucks. And he called me like 3 weeks later and he's like, hey, I decided to say, fuck it. And we're starting our own show. You in? And I was like, hell yeah, man, let's go. So yeah, we're going to be there too. I'm glad it's in a way better location, not in the middle of downtown Denver. You know, like I hate ISC Denver. We only went once, but my dogs were having anxiety. I was having anxiety sitting there in the concrete jungle for 5-6 days. I was losing my mind. I don't know how people live like that.
That show has gone downhill too. It used to be good like 10 years ago. But
it's like a flea market.
Yeah. It's like if you want to buy some salsa and blankets and go on a trip to Africa or Alaska, like that's it. So it's not not good for that. Basically, if you speak English, it's not really your scene.
Yeah, it's like Pakistani purses and knockoff shit. Like it looks like a flea market. Like it's
ridiculous. I mean, there's some good like chip dips and some like salsa stations and
yeah,
like it's cool, but it's not what I want when I'm in the hunting mood. Like if I want to go buy a blanket, I'll open my computer and go to Amazon. But whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited for the expo circuit that we're hitting. It should be pretty good. We'll probably see you guys at a lot of those. But
how many are you guys going to this year?
Oh man, so we're going to 8 expos, and then we're going to be at all the Mountain Archery Fest 3D shoots, then all the Western Hunt Fest 3D shoots, and then we're going to try to get to a couple of at least one of the tack shoots. We haven't decided yet which one. Probably whichever one there in Colorado, just because it's right there in our backyard. Because I'll be out of the Army ideally I sign out on leave in February, so I'll be freed up for the majority of the season.
Oh, really? February, you get a break?
Hopefully the break for life.
Really?
Sign out, terminal leave, and start growing the beard back out and never shave again forever. That's the plan.
If
I'm
they
gonna look
let
like
you.
Yeah, they didn't let me quit last time I tried to, so let's see if they'll let me this time. I keep crossing my fingers that all this powder keg that's going on right now holds off for another 6 months, so I can get the fuck. Of course, I'll be on IRR, so they can call me right back in, but we'll see. But I'm ready to get the hell out.
How long have you been?
10 years and some change. Too long. I've been getting out for 6 of those 10 years.
Hell yeah, better man than I am.
I don't regret any of it, but it's definitely time for me to go do something else, some greener pastures. Because it's not. I don't want to get. I'll talk about it a lot when I'm out, but it's just not the same organization that I joined, and priorities are very different from mine. So, and then with everything that we've got going on, it's the right time. It's like the timing's perfect to go ahead and make the leap over into this full time, and we're setting up in Western Colorado in like the Grand Junction area. So we've got a bunch of guys that are moving in, and we're actually I don't think I've announced this yet, but I'm taking a stake in the Colorado Outdoor Adventure Guide School, and so we're going to be kind of running the school and tying that into what we're doing with HLE and everything, which is going to be cool.
Awesome.
Yeah,
good for you guys. Good for you, Luke. That's awesome.
Keep trying to get Carter to move out west, but he's not having it. He likes Georgia too much.
I like to
I don't want this to come off as offensive because I just truly don't know anything about out east. But what's appealing about being in Georgia and that part of the country, other than like not having winters and shit?
From a hunting perspective, it's just a totally different ball game if that's what you're alluding to. But I have a job that I don't hate. I'm a high school teacher, and I love my job. And
that's the only place that has high schools in the country, so that makes sense.
Well, I told him, I was like, dude, I'm buying you a school, like an entire school.
After my first trip to Wyoming, I was completely fell in love with the state. I was like, there's probably high schools out here. Drove around for 50 hours, didn't see a single one, but there's probably one out there.
Yeah, there's like 2. Yeah. I always joke my like high school conference in Colorado had like just the conference itself had more schools and more people than the entire state of Wyoming. And
yeah,
that's Colorado Springs has more people than the entire state of Wyoming.
Yeah,
it's just crazy. I was pretty dead set on moving to Wyoming, and the wife was on board until this last winter hit. And she was hearing all about Wyoming and how bad it was, and like negative 30 and everything, and she was like, I don't know if I want to do that. And then this opportunity presented itself in Western Colorado, and the Western Slope is like way better than the Front Range, so it's like that's a happy medium. I can get out that way.
Yeah, the Western Slope of Colorado is still awesome.
Yeah,
like the old Colorado that I grew up in.
Where's your family ranch at? You don't have to be exact, but general location.
Yeah, closest to Buena Vista.
Okay.
Smack dab in the middle of the state.
Yeah. Yeah,
we'll be out there next month for my first elk hunt and Cole's first elk hunt, Sam.
Oh, really?
Yep.
What area, or you don't have to talk about that if you don't want to, but near Buena Vista?
Near Paonia, if you're familiar with Paonia, like Hotchkiss.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think further, that side of the state geography is a little rough, but it's southwest, I think, a little bit. Yeah. So
we always call that crotch kiss and Paonia, but
sounds about right. But yeah, it's we're doing a drop camp with Bear Creek Outfitters up there. We've got a good relationship with the owner, and I actually went up there and helped a little bit. I didn't really do any guiding, but I just helped with prep and setting stuff up. And then Garrett's been out there guiding. I've got a mule deer tag and a elk tag, and then the rest of the boys have elk tags. So it should be a pretty good hunt.
Awesome. Is that a third season tag or
fourth? Yeah. So it's either going to be 70 degrees or 6 foot of snow. We'll see.
Right? Yeah, never much in between that time here.
Yeah, I told Carter, I was like, we might need like snowshoes, man, depending on how much snow's on the ground, because it can get pretty crazy out that way. So we'll see. But they got hit really hard a couple days ago, and they had. I mean, hell, Colorado Springs just got shellacked. My wife sent me a picture. My 2-year-old, he was in the snow up above his belly button.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was deep. Yeah, they got 2 feet of snow, just dumped on them.
We got 2 inches here. Maybe you do need to come to Wyoming for better.
That's actually not a bad selling point. Wyoming just got it. Every time I go there, I'm like, this is the spot for sure. Like, they take care of you on taxes. There's no people, and then they really take care of the resident hunters. Colorado, short of the cost, it's cheap, which is nice. But like, other than that, they don't take care of you with tags at all.
No, yeah, it's terrible. That was probably the biggest factor with us moving our company and me moving to Wyoming. Like it was great for business environment, but the hunting and the resident perks is insane. Like that elk tag I was telling you that I have, that was my second choice. Because first of all, there's no points for Wyoming residents. Like there's no antelope points, there's no elk points, there's no deer points, just random draw. But my second choice elk tag takes 7 to 8 points as a non-resident to draw. And that's like my backup option. Like, ah, crap, didn't get that. I guess I'll just get something that people would wait the better half of a decade for out of state.
Yeah.
Well, and even just having the option for a general tag for deer and elk is just awesome. Like you can learn an area. You can, you know where you're hunting every single year. You can, where you can scout because you know what where you're gonna be. Like versus Colorado, it's like we'll see. I've been lucky. Like I've had tags every single year, but it takes a lot of time to like do the research. And you see on these groups and guys are like, I've been putting in for 19 years. I'm like, well, one, you should probably do a modicum of research. Just take some time because I moved from the East and have had tags in my pocket every year, but it still is just a pain in the ass. That's the one thing that I just can't. I'm hoping CPW is doing a lot right now. I mean, I'm sure you're tied in with a lot of that with looks like OTC is going to change, but I just hope they adopt some system similar to what Wyoming has with giving residents some sort of general tags to be able to pull. Like everything, like residents shouldn't have to draw deer tags. Like guys can like live in an area and never be able to hunt in their backyard. Like that's crazy.
Right. Well, they should at very least, I mean, I say this and it hurts myself as someone that still hunts it now out of state in Colorado every year, but they really should adopt, because like Colorado general tags, for residents, it truly is general. We can draw elk and deer every year, but an elk tag is going to take you at least 4 points to just draw a general. So if Colorado did that with OTC, let your residents hunt every year, but make it take 4 years for a non-resident.
Yep.
Make that quality. Like, because I always say Wyoming's general units in general are equal to a 7 to 10 point unit in Colorado because they're just managed that much better.
Yeah, I believe that for sure. Well, in Wyoming, I didn't draw with 4 points this year in Wyoming for a general elk tag.
Really?
And one of our guys drew with 2. I was like, what the fuck? And he killed a stud. Chet, he was actually just on the last episode telling his story. And like, yeah, he killed a stud bull off 2 point. I was like, that was supposed to be me, motherfucker. Because I was going to hunt with the guy that Chet was hunting with in Wyoming with Gabe. And I was like, son of a bitch. But no, I'm happy for him. That's how it goes, though. I do like a little bit of the randomness of it, too, because it makes it worthwhile to just throw in.
Right. And, yeah, you never know. So you can do that, like you said, 2 points, or, you can draw a moose tag like me, 3 points. Should have taken 27. Got lucky.
Somebody's got to draw it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's so cool. You can't beat that at all. And
the year before last, the elk tag that I just randomly drew in Wyoming, because again, random draw, but they have it for non-residency, like you said, which is awesome. But yeah, it takes max points for the elk tag I got last year. Just casually drew it, and it's my wife 3 years ago drew a deer tag that would take 11 years for non-resident. Got her first one putting in as a resident. So
yes,
nice to have that. It's worth putting in. I always thought there's no chance you could ever be lucky until I was the one that got lucky and keep getting lucky. So
ride it out as well.
Somebody, just what Carter said. Somebody's got to do it. We were at the Colorado Bowhunters Association banquet. I never buy raffles because I'm like, and I just happened to throw $100 on a bow raffle and won a stalker stick bow from South Cox. It's like $1,000 bow off a $100 raffle ticket, a couple raffle tickets. I was like, I never win anything. This is badass. So
Yeah,
got to
especially
throw.
when you actually off of luck. Like I just was did my normal fucking engineering nerd shit when I was at a Mule Deer Foundation. That like event was bad weather, almost nobody showed up. So I just like quickly did the math in my head on like the statistics and how many tickets I'd have to buy to ensure that I would win one of them. Bought like $600 for the tickets and then won a gun, but it was like the very last one. And I just like crunched the numbers. I'm like, wow, that was almost a really stupid thing using math. It's one away from just totally losing my ass.
Well, Cole did that at a Mountain Archery Fest event. They were doing like the deck of cards thing. Well, he bought, I think, over 3/4 of the deck. And
shit.
he won every single raffle off of that. And so he had shot his first bow that weekend, decided he wanted to get into bow hunting. He won a release, a drop away rest, the sight, and the bow, all off that one raffle. And he spent like $300 and got like $1,200, $1,800, whatever it was, worth of shit. It was ridiculous. We were all like drunk as hell at the social, just losing our minds. At one point, he was so drunk, he was like, "Luke, come here. I can't read these cards." So I had to stand up there and read his cards for him because he was seeing triple.
You couldn't script that better. Just drunk off your ashes, slowly completing the whole setup you need.
It was ridiculous. I looked at Brandon, the owner who was running. I was like, did you fix that? Like, how did he win every single one? But I mean, he did the math in his head, nerded out, and was like, he's also a degenerate gambler, so that's also part of it. Yeah, he was like, that meme with like the dude from The Hangover and all the fucking numbers are going. That was definitely Cole. He's sitting there. Yeah, but that's the best $300 he ever spent. That's perfect.
It's not gambling if you know you're going to win, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I bought my preference points last night, Sam, for Wyoming, and I bought a couple super tag raffles actually because of you and your moose hunt. I was like, yeah. Someone's got to win, so I'll buy a ticket.
There you go. Might as well.
We'll see.
I always do the same too. That always draws me in. $10, might as well get a few of these.
Yeah. Too easy.
You get preference points for everything, or just
deer, elk, and antelope.
You were able to do it for antelope?
No, but that's what I am building in Wyoming.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I can only buy elk points. Hopefully I'll draw a general tag on 5 points. Fucking point creep.
Better.
Although I remember when it used to be 3.
Yeah, it was 3 for a long time. But and then they're changing the super tag price. Like it's going way up. So that'll probably make it a lot easier if you feel like paying like a ridiculous amount for the special tags. But I bet it'll just exacerbate the all other point creeps. People that used to be able to justify those special tags are just going to go into the regular now.
Yeah, I like the special tags because you're buying the year back on the points. Being able to like still put in that year and get a point is pretty huge. So I gamed it for a while. I would still get my tag, do the second draw with the special tag, and then stock my antelope points that way. But I just burned them all this year. I didn't do the special because I was looking at, I already had, when I checked out with all my tags, I think coming out of Wyoming, I had a $2,300 cart, and I was like, I can't do the special tags. Luckily, I didn't draw it's honestly a good thing I didn't draw the elk tags. I wouldn't have had a lot of time, but that would have been ridiculous.
Well, and then Wyoming still does it like Colorado used to in the old days, where they keep your money from the time you apply until you.
I wish Colorado would do that too.
Yeah, because at least someone has to be vested enough to tie up that amount of money for a while. That's actually what kind of worked in Colorado. Well, in that one year that I don't know if you were residents or hunting Colorado at that time, but when they did those like $3 applications or whatever, and you didn't have to tap any money, and it was just insane. Everybody applied and just immediately added 2 points to draw any tag in the state.
Yeah, I don't want to say anything about CPW, because every interaction I've ever had with a CPW officer has been incredible. Have really positive experiences, which is the way I
Officers
grew
all
up. Yeah,
the
but the
problem is it's not the
policies,
officers making the policies.
exactly, and like it seems, and I don't know, I wasn't here during the merge, but like got old timers I've talked to, like especially like Jeff, the guy who owns Coags, it's just since they merged with Parks and Wildlife, there's been a noticeable shift. It's far less about the wildlife and more about the revenue, because it's just, which, I mean, I get it, and I understand that the state has to make money, and there's such a opportunity there, but it definitely sucks. And it also sucks that the people that are benefiting from all the hunters' cash are ones that are extremely anti-hunting and don't want anything to do with it. When I've gotten yelled at in Boulder for I was hunting. It was the first year I was in Colorado. I was hunting a tag west of Boulder, and I like drove through town, stopped. I was actually outside of Boulder. I was in one of the little towns out there, but still very, very hippie. And I wanted to try to go to a bar, and I had my orange, was the only hat that I had on, and lady was like heckling me about it, and I was just like, this is ridiculous. Like, absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it's different down there. And now with being in the parks, it's like funding their own demise. I see they keep putting more people that have like a track record of being anti-hunters on the actual,
Well, the governor hates hunting, like openly hates hunting.
Right. And then his husband loves wolves. That's what actually like originally started that whole thing. And
yeah, it was heartbreaking well, in Colorado, like conservatives in Colorado, we don't do ourselves any favors. And that's something we've talked about getting more involved with, there's so much infighting. Like the ranchers and the outfitters and the hunters that hunt public don't like the outfitters. The outfitters don't like those hunters. The ranchers don't like anybody unless they have an outfit on their place bringing them in revenue. Like nobody's working together. There's no concerted effort at all. It seems like everybody's just at odds, and we're so fractured. We know that the folks that have this way of thinking and this value set, that it's just easy. I was surprised at how close the damn wolf thing was. And that was a big sign to me that, like, if we could get our shit together, we could probably push back on all this.
Right. Well, that's kind of, not to get too political, but
fuck it, you can get political. Let's hear it.
Yeah, no, that's just kind of the whole problem with the divide is conservatives believe in free, independent thought, which is why we're divided, because we're all individuals. That's why at any level of politics, the more liberal side, they're always in lockstep because they all think exactly the same.
Yep.
So that's why what makes conservative side so valuable and so powerful for business leaders and independent thinkers and creativity is the same thing that hurts from a collective perspective, because we're not all the same people. We're our own people.
I think I saw today or yesterday, Sam, you came on the board of directors for the First Hunt Foundation. What do they do?
Yeah, so they're a national organization. I think they're in 47 states for training mentors and helping get kids and just first time hunters and women, everybody on their first hunts. So just a giant national mentorship program, and they've been doing a lot to get more digital and do stuff on their sites. Like how we originally got connected was just kind of talking, advising about digital and different ways to skin the cat, and was honored enough that they liked what I had to say, and we were very aligned. Like that's something I'm super passionate about is the next generation and growing this passion for the outdoors, and that they asked me to fill the open spot they had on their board of directors for it. So pretty cool, pretty honored to do that and be able to make a difference, keep introducing more people to the outdoors.
Yeah, it's a noble cause, man. You needed one more thing to do too, didn't you?
Right. Yeah. I'll see how that goes. But
that's really cool.
The First Hunt?
Yep.
First Hunt Foundation.
First Hunt Foundation. Cole, scribble that down because I'll forget. That's right in line with our mission set too. It's all focused on getting folks into the outdoors for healing and mental health stuff, but then also getting to the next generation and kids. And in the future, I really want to work to we do a lot with veterans organizations right now, but I want to start branching out into more stuff that's focused on the youth, especially youth that don't have the opportunity to get outdoors, like, you know, urban youth or folks that'll never have that opportunity. I think that that's something that's really important.
Absolutely.
Because
that's kind of, I think that's the most underestimated thing out there, like grounding and outdoors in the nature. Like that's so huge for, you know, morphing somebody. Like we weren't meant to live in concrete jungles and stuff. Like you need some sort of grounding. And if you don't have a parent to get you into that, or don't even have any role models, period, like you have no chance of that. You're kind of throwing away a lot of talent if you can't get somebody grounded with their roots.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you'd
I mean,
be
that's
amazed. So go ahead, Luke.
no, you go ahead, man.
I was just saying, you'd be amazed with how many people come and join the team here at
That's
Hunt
what I was
Lift
gonna
Youth
say.
Stand.
Yeah.
Yeah, people from all over the country and internationally, right? We just last go around, we had a dude from South Africa and a guy who just moved here from India. People from all over the country who have never been introduced to hunting whatsoever and are looking for that introduction and have come to us for that. And that's been honestly unbelievably rewarding to help open those doors and help people do that. So that's, I don't know, I think it's really awesome.
Yeah, good for you guys, because it truly does make a quantifiable difference in somebody's life. Like more than, you know, more than anything that I've found to this date. Like even from a no, I've already got political, might as well go religious too. But like even from getting people into into different spirituality and God and stuff, that's even the gateway there. It's a hell of a lot easier to make that bridge once somebody understands nature and the outdoors, and then that's kind of the inevitable progression too. So it's, yeah, changes people's life, getting them into the outdoors and hunting and fishing.
No, I agree completely with that. I've been a heathen for the better part of a decade now, and it's brought me back into the spirituality piece, that and a couple other things that have happened in my life recently. And I think that the outdoors and nature are 100% like a part of that. There's just something at a certain point you're looking and you're like, this isn't random. Like this didn't just happen, you know, like this kind of, you know, the majesty of, you know, you watch a fucking Wyoming sunset. Like, you know, I have some epic pictures from my mule deer hunt and you're just like, this is incredible, right? This wasn't just a couple of fucking particles smashing together in space. Like something did this. This isn't how this shit just works. Things don't just randomly happen like this.
It's a good ego check for sure. You feel a lot, you recognize how great and how big and how vast the outdoors and the universe is. All of a sudden your little shit in life doesn't seem so big and you don't seem like you're the center of it anymore.
Yeah, 100%. That's a great point. What's next for you guys? What's I mean, anything you can talk about. I'm sure you guys have some stuff behind closed doors, but you know, what's on the docket? I mean, I know you guys have been expanding south, got a lot of Oklahoma properties. I'm not far down here in Louisiana from Oklahoma, so I've been looking at some of those, have my eye on them potentially. But what states are you trying to get into? How much more are you moving out? You know, what's your expansion trajectory and everything look like?
Yeah, no, we're we got, so a lot of it's kind of behind lock and key, kind of proprietary at this point, but we got a lot of moving parts. But yeah, expect to continue expanding out from our current radius of that 12 or 13 states and going out from there. But then from other like big kind of revolutionary things, we just came out for our waterfowl stuff with what we're calling community adventures, to just help people that don't you know, maybe they're newer to the sport or they just want to, you know, meet some more friends out there. So you actually have the option now in your booking waterfowl hunts to make it a community adventure. So you get a discount on your reservation fee. It cuts that in half. And then it opens up the extra spots in that blind to any Infinite Outdoors member, so they can just join you. So you can get meet some more people and hunt together and help expand our community. Hence the name. So that's been something that we're excited about, and it's already just in the last week of launching that. It's had a lot of good traction. But yeah, we've got some other good big partnerships and stuff in the works, and just keep expanding and trying to spread our services across the country as quick as we can, but while doing it right. We'll never sacrifice quality for just dots on the map.
Yeah, that's a piece that from our first conversation that I really do respect. And it's not just, it'd be really easy for you guys to really maximize, the profit piece, and the fact that you have the biologist, you actually do the surveys, you manage these properties for, the wildlife, and ensure that they're being managed beyond what the game and fish agencies are doing, I think is really admirable. And it's something that I really respect. And I know, Carter's, lockstep with that. Is it's just a little bit of a different approach. And it's more mindful and long-term, delayed gratification, to understand the resource and being able to, extend it versus just going after a grab of, like I know you shut down properties and you're like, we're not going to list this one this year because it just can't sustain it. It can't have it. Or, we hit our quotas, so now we're shutting it down. We're not just going to try to keep bringing hunters in and maximizing the dollars. That's something that I just really love what you guys do.
Yeah, well, thank you. Glad you guys recognize and see some value, because it's be very easy to just be money hungry and try to do whatever you want, or just try to pump up the company to just sell to some other big company that's just going to use and abuse what we created, and that's not what we're about. I'd always rather stay true to the mission at the and because I don't care how much money we ever bring in. I still have to sleep at night, like I've said before. So we're going to continue to do the right thing, no matter if that has a negative financial impact. Conservation is always first, and then everything else is secondary.
Yeah, and I think long term, when I've gone through periods of my life when I haven't, really focused on the long term picture, or what is, that the right thing, where you're chasing something. And I think long term it even just pays off better anyways, because people see that, and then you're attracting the right type of person. You're attracting, the right customers, the right loyal folks, the ranchers you have a better relationship with. And especially if you can message and educate and teach, like long term, even though your growth will be slower and more measured, like when you look at that, that's not a bad thing. It's right to build it right. And I think even from an economic standpoint, long term, it will pay off more than the short term kind of chasing the dollar thing. So yeah, it's awesome.
Glad you think so. Thank you. I think life lesson in general, just when in doubt, do the right thing, and that's probably the best. It's probably the best long term course of action, no matter what feels right in the short term.
Definitely. Yeah, we just did a mindset call. Shit, was that last night? All the days run together, and basically doing like vision mapping for your life. But I'm going through the progression, and like the first thing for folks that I always say that is like, it's the core values. And so you have to define those before you can define anything else, because if you don't, then, you just start to have that drift, and, you can start making concessions unless where your hard left and right limits are. You'll just continue to capitulate. And you've got to have that core value set, like codified, understood, and like deliberately like sitting there, and the words have meaning, right? And I was talking to the guys about that too, is like, honesty is different from integrity, is different from honor. Like all these things are related, but they're not the same. And like those specific words that you use when you define your core values, I think is really important, because it drives everything you do long term going forward. And when you get to those decision points, and you get it as a CEO, like it's hard. You've got to make hard calls, and you're looking at it, and it's like you have to make money. Like people don't understand that. They expect everything to be fucking free, but in order to support what you're building, you have to have revenue coming in. And so it's easy to get like kind of lost on the business side. At least it is for me. You're a numbers guy. You probably kind of get into that mode too. And if you don't clearly define those core values, then I think you're just setting yourself up for failure long term, because you have to always have that to fall back on, to know, okay, this decision, it sucks, but this is the right thing because we know who we are and what we're about, and this is what we're going to do. And I don't think you can go wrong if you do that, and too many folks lose sight of it, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And and to your point of like, you still have to make money. The beautiful thing that a lot of people don't understand about just capitalism in general is it only works from creating a good and a service that somebody is willing to trade for, that is a net positive in the eyes of every party. So that's such a common misconception of, because you're trying to make money or something makes money, that it must be bad. It's actually the opposite. If it doesn't make money, that means there's a losing party in there somewhere, and it's not actually a net gain for everybody. So there's nothing more. There's nothing more noble and honest and fair than a capitalistic transaction in which every party benefits.
100%. Yeah, I agree completely. Fuck yeah. What do you got, Carter? You got something on all this?
No, man, I was actually going to say, in this space, it's good to be on the same, call digitally with someone with core values. And we're proud to be, working with Infinite, and happy to know you, Sam. This has been an awesome, huge value add to our lives this year. So happy to know you, man, and happy to be a lifelong Infinite customer here, man. Looking forward to more opportunities with you guys.
Yeah, man. I'm glad to be partners with you guys, and hard to find people that are aligned. So gotta double down on our good people and good ideas, and look out for one another and grow the outdoor space and everything in it.
Yeah, there's been definitely over the last couple of years, the more I've gotten plugged in. We were kind of in our own bubble there for a little while, but this year especially got really plugged in with the industry and met a lot of great people and a lot of great companies. But there's an alarming amount that are not so great. And there's a lot of bullshit in this industry, a lot of misrepresentation of hunts, misrepresentation of things that are happening and going on. And like when that shroud gets pulled back, you're like, huh, or you meet some guys in person and you're like, you're a lot different than you portray yourself as, and I think that's disappointing, but it's probably, it's every industry, it's every sector, but I think there's a lot of marketing tactics and techniques that have been kind of utilized within this space that I think that people are kind of starting to wise up to. And that's something that I've noticed. And one of the things we get all the time, I think it's one of the reasons why we've been, I won't say that we're successful, but as our moderate level of success is because we don't do anything other than what we do. We show every aspect of it. We talk about the shit that goes wrong. We talk about all our mistakes, and there's just a lot of whitewashing that goes on within this space that I agree completely. When you find those companies and those people that really align and put the value set first before the profit, I think it's really important. So like Carter said, I'll echo his thoughts. I'm stoked for the relationship, and I'm just looking forward to expanding it. And we need to set up a hunt and get out and camp together one of these days, man, because it's been a long time coming, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, looking forward to the future, and yeah, glad to have you guys as partners. Like you said, as you grow in the industry too. I don't know if you had the same point, but there's like an inflection point where all of a sudden you like get enough into it where you can just see everything. There's like a clear divide.
Yes.
And
yep.
see the line, and this is this crew of delinquents, and then this is this ideological mindset. And it's very obvious when you get to that level, and it's only a matter of time until all the consumers see that too. So I think all the more reason to do the good, do what's right, practice what you preach, and the rest will come out in the wash.
Yeah, no, I think I hit that point probably around May. Well, really when we just started hitting the expos in general, but it was May was when I was like looking around and I'm like, yeah. And now I see and I notice, you just start to be able to pick it out, and you're like, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. And then you start plugging in with the right people, and then you start hearing stuff. I'm not going to go into the details, but you're like, oh my God. Like some of that stuff is just an absolute cesspool. Some of these expos are a disaster. What happens on the back end and stuff. But whatever, everybody can live their own life and move through it the way they want to. And all we can do is operate within our own, parameters and value sets like we talked about. But yeah, don't have to go down the whole rabbit hole, but it's refreshing when you do find those right people. And we've been very blessed with just the crew and the folks. Like, Amanda from Infinite, actually, I did her team interview a couple of days ago, which was awesome. She actually came out and joined up, which was cool. And she was telling me about the community piece on the duck hunting side. I thought that was badass. I actually want to do that, get a couple of our guys and just leave it open, see if we can't meet some new folks. And I think that's a really cool, I'm hoping to have some time later in the season here in December and be able to, I've got one duck hunt in Arkansas, but that'll be my first duck hunt ever. So I'm assuming I'm going to get bit with the bugs every time I hunt something new. I just have to spend $1,000 on new gear for that specific type of style of hunting. So
Arkansas is a hell of a place to go on your first duck hunt.
Yeah, I might be fucking myself and just ruining it.
Right, that'd be too good. Come out here like, what is this? It took me 3 hours to get a limit. What the hell?
I think the only time I've killed a duck was in my younger years, and I shot one on the water with a 22. So I think statute of limitations has me good, but I was back home in Virginia. So yeah, the duck, I definitely can't say I'm a duck hunter.
Yeah. No, waterfowl's, it's fun. It's its own sort of addiction, but yeah, definitely have to be careful. That hobby can get real expensive real fast if you start buying decoys.
Oh yeah. I treat it like boats. Just find a buddy.
Yep.
Luckily, I've got a buddy down here, John Ritter, who's a huge duck hunter. He's got all the decoys for every species ever, and he's got a boat. So perfect. I don't have to. I just mooch off him all the time. We bow fish, and then we're gonna do some duck hunting down in Louisiana, hopefully.
Perfect. We actually had a landowner that I guess back to your other question about new things for Infinite. He has because a lot of our landowners are hunters themselves. Like that's what's appealing to the platform. They don't have to lease away their rights. They just have to co-manage it with us, and they can make some money on the side. But he has a ton of goose decoys. And he's like, "Is there a way to rent this?" So we're actually going to add in a way too, where you can go on, like when you book his property, you can also.
That's a really good idea.
That's a great idea. That's awesome.
So yeah, because all the hard parts built out, like the ability to give secure gate codes and directions to it, get the decoys, set them out, and then you can spend an extra $50 or whatever it ends up being to hunt over a $5,000 spread of decoys.
Yep.
So. Yeah, we'll definitely take advantage of that. Cole, go find us some Infinite duck hunting.
Probably already looking.
Cole's like our Jamie now. This is perfect. Cole, look that up.
Pull it up, Cole.
Hell yeah.
Well, cool, awesome. Dude. Yeah, good luck with your
Carter. Shit, yeah, you go.
Good luck with your elk season, Sam. Hope you get one down, man. Hope to see it on the old Instagram, man.
Yeah, thank you. Good luck on your guys' stuff too. Hope you guys put down a few more elk. Pack those freezers full.
Fingers crossed, man. Where can listeners come and find you guys, Sam?
Yeah, they can find us on Facebook, just at Infinite Outdoors. I think it's Infinite Outdoors USA on there, and then Instagram handles Infinite Outdoors_USA. And then online at infiniteoutdoorsusa.com, and we're on the App Store and the Android Play Store or Google Play Store, whatever the hell they call it.
Hell yeah. Listeners, definitely go check it out. Drop a follow. Look up Sam. He's a good dude. 2 thumbs up. 2 enthusiastic thumbs up from Hunt Lives Eat.
Appreciate it.
Well, yeah, appreciate it, dude. Looking forward to the next one. You got anything, Luke?
No. Go buy some shit. I got to clear out inventory because we're moving to Western Colorado in a couple months. So go buy some shit and leave us a review. We haven't gotten any new reviews recently. If you guys appreciate what you're getting in here, we got rid of all of our ads. The only thing we ask is just drop us a review, share this with some friends, somebody you think would be interested in what we've got going on here, some of these conversations, and then go support all of our partners. Definitely support Infinite. Check out the app. If you guys are looking to come out west, I highly recommend it. I can tell you I've hunted, especially if it's your first hunt, lowering those variables, those barriers is huge. Every time I've hunted elk, I would have paid any amount of money, 4 days into the hunt to be able to get onto some private. So it's definitely worthwhile, especially starting out. So definitely check out Infinite and jump in. Check out team applications if you're interested in joining the team. That's all I got.
Sweet. Awesome. Well, listeners, as always, we appreciate the hell out of you guys. We'll talk to you next week.